Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here with Brian Galke.
Yes.
Galke. Aces53. It's been a couple of weeks. I can't believe it was so much nice not having anything to do for 2 weeks.
Because you're
I mean,
lazy?
that was a joke.
Yeah.
No podcasting, no lives.
Right.
Amazing how much more time you have to do other things when you don't have those.
But it's funny because it's like, oh, I've got time to do more things, and then I don't do more things a lot. Now I did I did a lot of reading. I fixed some stuff, worked on a few things that I've been dragging my feet on over the holidays. But I hit that period in between Christmas and New Year's where what day is it? When do I return to doing anything? Just became kind of a nebulous blob.
Yeah, see that last week of this, right? Christmas time is the time I do my continuing education and recertify myself and my company. And I
Uh-huh.
always wait till the last minute
Mhm.
because that's just how it works. And
Of course.
yeah, and the worst part was I tried to do it last minute, like second week of not the last week, but the third week of December.
Mhm.
And so I did mine, and then I tried to do my company. I couldn't get logged in, and so I kept calling the National Association. It's a government agency, and it would say, "Oh, there's over a 20-minute wait. Call back." Click. Oh, there's
And not even we'll take your number and
or
all that stuff.
not even like stay on hold until we have someone available. So I think that was Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
and then it was Christmas,
Mhm.
and then for the first 3 hours of Thursday, it was doing the same thing. So somebody didn't want to work, and they just hit the button to send everybody to that.
Yeah.
And it took like 2 seconds to let me to do what they needed to do for me so I could upload everything, and then I was done in like an hour with everything else, which normally would take a lot less, but I wasn't as focused with my stuff this year.
Yeah. Well, it's nice not to have to run everywhere. We still had holidays, different families' houses, go here, go there. It was still actively full, but like you said, it was nice not to think, okay, what am I doing Tuesday? What am I doing Thursday? What can
You
I
have a
work
joker?
around? Oh, yeah, don't need
No,
a
no, no, I mean,
joker.
that's those things. Do we
Yeah.
have a joker, or is it just us?
Yeah.
Who are we talking? Yeah. But I mean, then the week of Thanksgiving, not Thanksgiving, geez, how bad I am. New Year's week, I was at the cabin, and I ended up just doing a ton of stuff on high level. And I
Mhm.
was surprised how easy, at first it's like, wow, how the hell do you do this? And then you get it done. It's like, yeah, it's not so big deal. It's
Yeah.
easy.
It's just getting time to focus.
And understanding and the things that come up, and you're like, okay, how do I fix that? And then you have to search and fix that. Then for the next time. So
Yeah.
because I created, I see these websites that were talking about how hard they are, and they were pretty easy. The first one took me, I don't know, 4 hours. The second one took me 2 hours.
Well, I would kind of respond to that with saying you play with a lot of different software all the time. So for you, it's probably easier because you're in Opus Clips. You're in, yeah, was it not podcast? What's the one
You
that you use?
actually, what helped me out a lot is
Mhm.
I started with Designer,
Mhm.
which is for ebooks,
Right.
and the way you set them up is pretty much the way they set up the web pages.
Ah, gotcha.
The way you have to do this part of it, and then you put your thing inside of it and your headline. They do it exactly the same way for the books because
Ah,
they're electronic. Yeah,
yeah. Speaking of
and
which,
so that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so the two books, I mean, the book and the website you worked on was
Actually, Joe, I did my Lending for Living website. So we talk about all the time going to your perfect client, getting the words there, and I never did. So my company did everything.
right.
Well, Lending for Living now just does reverse mortgages, and that's how the whole website's set up now. And of course, I use direct response marketing from that, and I use our favorite friend, ChatGPT, to help me write that. I had to search a bunch of different reverse mortgage sites and tell me, what was the best part of them, and I made some changes. And I've done this stuff before, but then it
Mhm.
just sits in ChatGPT, right? Because we don't move. And then now I used it on the actual website. And then I started my loan squad, which is just for veterans. So it's
Mhm.
when you get there, that's all it's about. Right. And that's if I'm going to say you should do it, I
Yeah.
better be doing it.
Right.
And my third one that's going to be just for business owners will be my older one that I've had forever, which is Source One Financial.
Well, in kind of what we've been talking about all last year, the ability with all the different software out there is that you can do all those things without having to hire someone else to do it if you have the time and
Right.
if you are good. And when I say good, if you have the natural ability to figure it out. Now, some people need to hire it out all the time, but you know, I can't stress this enough. We were talking about, and I found an article, I actually did a post about it over the holidays, where it says that 52% of jobs worldwide will be replaced by AI and automation in 2025. So this year. And that it said in the US alone, 36 million jobs are going to be possibly debating in the next decade. 36 million jobs will be replaced by AI or automation.
And it's low-lying fruit stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's, yeah. I mean, so I see it. It's getting so much easier and easier to do stuff that the question really is, and this came back. One of the things is I had a podcast I just dropped this week, and a guy he's known as the Uber for lawn care,
Mhm.
the way that he set up his company. And how he started was he learned coding. Okay, he started as a 13-year-old lawnmower and then
Yeah.
built that up, and then he learned how to do coding, then he learned how to do certain things to do so. He doesn't do that anymore, but he learned it to get going, and that's what a lot of people are. The question is, what are you willing to do that you can handle to build that business of yours that you're trying to build? What
Right.
can you do? And
Right.
not because I don't want to do. I have my own personal websites done in WordPress. Do I do anything on that one? No, because that's a little bit more involved. Now, the high
Right.
level, the playing with their new ones, because I want to do landing pages and certain things. And people go, "What's the difference between a landing page and a website?" 3 pages.
Yeah. Exactly. One page versus multiple pages. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we talked about before web pages back, 15 years ago. If you didn't have a web page, you weren't a company. Now it's if you don't have funnels, if you don't have the right CRM. Business pages, websites now are a business card. And then it's the question of what else do you do to stand out? Do you become an author? You were on a documentary, do you speak on stages? The big debate people have right now is, do you do a TEDx or not? Some people say it's so overdone, TEDx isn't valuable. Other people's like, oh, if you've done a TEDx, it's not going to make your career, but it can help your career. And so what are you doing for all these things to stand out? Because like we're talking about, now people are going to be able to compete globally in ways that we couldn't before. So you look back, I was given the book, The 4-Hour Work Week, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And that was way ahead of its time, because at the time I was talking about here in the near future, you'll be able to order on demand instead of having to go to a factory in China and have 10,000 something created. And that's the world we live in now, is what can you do that can't be easily automated? What skill are you working at? And then even when you do that, how do you stand out? How are you branding yourself? What makes people, when they see your website or see you, want to dive in more? Because there is competition across the board on pretty much everything now.
Right. And also remember, whatever you're doing, less is more, meaning you want to put less information out there to get them to show up to whatever you're doing. So if you're doing a webinar, you don't want to give them all the answers,
Right.
because then they won't show up. You want them to show up to understand what you're doing.
Right.
And that was one of the things that I noticed the big change in the last, because I had my Lending for Living website. It was through a company who does all it for the mortgage industry. And it was basically get you to there, go to and do a funnel all the way through, which
Right.
it didn't give any information to what I liked. And it was, but was what we used and we all use. And I'm like, I don't like this. I want to have, it's all going back to your community. And what are you building in your community to compete with everybody else? Because you need your own community to grow with you. And because that's how all these different companies, they create these little communities, they sell the socks or whatever it is to that community, and then they grow, and then they get bought by a huge sock company.
Right.
Yeah. So that was just an example. Shaving is another one.
Oh yeah. What was the blade
Shave Club.
company? Dollar Shave
Dollar
Club.
Shave Club. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's looking about how do you draw people in. Years and years ago, there was a book called
It's still around though, right?
Yeah, it's still around, but I can't remember. It was talking about how you basically upsell products. Like why does Callaway sell more golf clubs than another brand? And it was basically talking about you have to tell the story behind the product. So Williams Sonoma is a really famous one because it was the first place to not just go, here's a pot and pan, but they put a little tag that told the story behind how they found it, why they added it to their store, and that's why they could charge double the price of it. And it's true. I mean, that's what we're finding out now is people want to know, who are you, not just what do you do? Why should I do business with you now? And we're getting to an interesting point in time where you go back 10 years ago, it was who had the best click funnel. to get people out there. So you have to be a marketer to a degree about marketing yourself. And that's hard for a lot of people because we're raised of just be a hard worker and you'll be rewarded. At least that's how I was raised.
No. You can work hard or you can work smart.
Right. That's not what we're taught originally, right? You go back and look, school was created to create factory workers. It teaches you how to be a good employee. Now we're moving towards there are more entrepreneurial type of schooling that's out there, but that's not still what a lot of people are taught.
No, but everybody's becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes.
It seems like just because and whether it's because they just don't rely on their regular job anymore long term. Right. They don't know how that's going to be. I mean, if you look at where we are right now, our unemployment rate's really low, but if you get laid off, you're not getting a job for a very long time.
Yeah. I'm asking ChatGPT how many jobs were lost last year. How many jobs were lost in?
We had 12 million on the BLS, and then it went down. I'm sorry, on the JOLTS report, we were up to 12 million, and that one just came out at 8 million.
Wow,
that are available. So and that's not just lost. That's just how they really don't know. And here's one of the problems with that JOLTS report that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
They can advertise a job in many different states, and it's considered a different job, but it's the same job. Are you following me here?
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing one
counted four times.
Yeah. Well, they talked about, so many jobs were created, but they were part-time, which means people didn't get benefits.
That's the one on Friday. Yeah. That's coming out on Friday, that one.
Yeah.
Joel. Yeah.
But it is. It just, to your point, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, they always say have more than one pillar of ways to bring in income. If you're an employee, it's completely fine. We're not bashing employees. I was one for 21 years. Don't make that your only thing. I've talked about this. I was either on here or on a podcast. When I got fired, had I only been my identity was my job, I don't know what I would have done. But because I already had been speaking and I loved doing it, I had something else to fall back on. And so that's not saying you have to have, a full-time backup job or anything like that, but you need to have something besides your job. And if you're an entrepreneur, you need more than one source of income coming in. As an employee, you should have that same mindset. What else can you do if your company shut its doors today?
Yeah, because it was that we had to reinvent ourselves every 5 years. I don't know if you knew that. That thing's going to get down to every 6 months to a year. And I feel really sorry for those people.
I feel sorry for people who are graduating school or trying to graduate school who don't have experience, that now the cost of their education is going to take forever to pay back. And we've talked about this before. Like, you take copywriters used to make 300,000, no problem. Now it's harder for them to find jobs. The really good ones are there, but if you're coming out and you don't have experience and you don't have testimonials and everything, it's kind of hard to make money. If you're a graphic artist,
but you can get ChatGPT to make you some testimonials.
Well, that's true. I still think people verify. But yeah,
no, they don't, because it's first name and initial of the last name. How are they verifying that?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I have sisters that are
Google
graphic artists.
Google does, because you have to have a Gmail address. But I'm just saying a lot of the, but that's on Google. So Google, you can tell, and Facebook. But if someone just has it on their website, the question is, are they really testimonials?
I'm a big on the referral plan. That's why if anybody reaches out to me saying, "Oh, we have all," I'm like, "Be somebody I know who's used you." Because what's that?
You crackled for a second. Do you have a microwave going?
No. Oh, you know it is. And I don't have my do not disturb on, so you probably heard a sound. Let me focus.
Crackling. Yeah.
Okay.
That's crackling.
Yeah. Computer ding came in.
Oh.
But yeah, it's basically if you haven't done work with somebody I know and I can verify, I don't believe you or trust you. And then, like we talked about before, if you're sending me an email and it's at Gmail, at Hotmail, at AOL, at Yahoo, I'm definitely not going to invest in you because you didn't even invest in yourself first.
There was a guy that was referred to me from Ralph Carrasco in my Rotary. They connected on Twitter about stuff because when the Army Navy kind of thing, and I created my own stuff through ChatGPT. So I don't know who really gets claimed
credit for it.
Yeah, exactly. But he had given me credit. And one of the things that when I went to the guy's site, he says, I'm reiterating, if you DM me these, and he had like 7 different statements.
Yeah,
I will not get back to you.
Well, My first one, a favorite is brah. Like if you start off with that, no.
Yeah. Or you haven't gotten back to me. Who says
Yeah.
I have to?
Exactly.
The fact that you think I have to reply back to what just because you decided to spam me about stuff. If you want me to reply back, how about spam? Click.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, knowing your story, being able to explain your business, like we talked about the Williams Sonoma, they can charge twice as much just because of that. People want to do business this day and age with people. That's why you'll follow Elon Musk, but may not follow Tesla, or you follow Zuckerberg, but not necessarily Meta, as far as their personal accounts. We like doing business with people. We want to know their story, why they do it. That's the day and age we are. It's no longer, well, I'm the Nike, I'm the IBM, I'm the whoever. Great, you'll buy the products from them, but it's usually we go and we're trained to go look for reviews, go look on Amazon or Google My Business and say, what are people saying about that business? But then you'll dive into the business after that.
Right. And the other thing is a lot of people want to know who the founder is of the company. So you need to have that on there, which is something I did on this one, which I didn't do on a lot of the other one, my other one, because it was like, they want team. They want all, they really want to know who the founder is. The other
Yeah.
people, I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much. But they also want to know, what is your purpose? What,
Yeah.
as a company, what do you, I don't want to say sponsor, but what is your purpose? And if you, that's what everybody's looking for. And I mean, the younger generation, what are you involved with as a company? What are you supporting?
Right.
And that's why I think it's so important to get to your niche and your people, to get your message to them. And that's why I changed everything I was doing. I still have one more to do, just because if I'm going to preach it, I better be doing it. I'm not a hypocrite.
Yeah. Well, at least not on your website.
Not anymore. Yeah. But it's, and it's, there's so much with this. I know we talk about high level a lot because we both use it, and you have that other company that does
First
it.
Direct 360.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And it's just easy. There's so much you can get through that thing. It's just, and if you don't want to go alone, there's so many of them who'll go, you get all this extra stuff if you come through us. And I'll give you all of our websites we've created, and you can use this and you can use that, and
templates. Yeah. You name it.
And I know this is really about how to be authority. That's what I put on the thing there. And it's really about, how are you leveling up your game? How are you doing? What are you doing differently to make yourself stand out? And that's what we've been talking about forever.
Yeah. Well, like if you go to a website and you see it's all stock photos, I immediately leave the website, because you can tell what a stock photo is versus, they say now what they call above the fold, right? Which is, what can I see the minute I hit your webpage before we go down? I want to see a picture of who it is, or I want to see real people. We're past the day and age of all stock photos, generic print. Like I said, how do you stand out? I like to say the new AI is, you have to be already interesting. Meaning when people find you, they want to learn more about you. And if you don't have that, it's just not going to be a good thing for you in 2025.
Yeah. I guess I'm just not that good.
No, you're just bad.
No, I mean, because my other website, I was getting some stuff done to it. And like I said, it's WordPress, and they took, to do something, it took them 3 weeks. And it's like, really? That means you're not really working on it every day, even though you act like you are.
Yeah.
One page, convert 2 pages into one, should not take you more than max 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you 48 hours to figure out kind of the template and where we want to go. But if you're just copying and pasting and you're not really changing it, and I'm giving you all the text for everything, it's not going to take you that long to do it. And that's one of the reason we're talking about getting involved with some of the stuff up front, is so that, when you hand it off to somebody, how long it really takes. Because back in the day, with our computer stuff that we did through the mortgage industry, it was all back, we're talking 20 years ago, to have it connected, it was all through certain types of lands and all these different things. And I set them up originally because I was a computer geek and I knew everything about it. But then we got so big that we had to have other people. Well, people would come in and go, well, this is what the problem, blah, blah. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense, because that's not how that works. And they would get, oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're doing. So don't freaking lie to me.
Yeah. Well, so for people who don't know, LAN was the local area network. So that's when you'd wire up your house with different ways, and then you could segment things out. Huh?
I'm talking at a company where it was before you didn't just have peer-to-peer networks or the way people have it now. It had to be a dedicated how to
Right.
share certain stuff.
Yeah.
It's different now. Everything's on the cloud. It's done through the internet. You don't have to have the same things that we used to have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's learn a little bit about everything. So go in and try and see how difficult something is so you know if somebody's charging you a fair price or not. Now, the funny thing is, it used to be people change their own oil. Well, now oil is so inexpensive. It's a commodity. It's faster and cheaper to go in somewhere and pay $30 or $50 or whatever than it is to change your oil at home, go dispose of the oil. And so our society changes a lot. It's also harder to work on cars now because you can't physically get your hands in there easily. But take that same idea and put it over to, you should have an idea of what you're paying people to do for you. And people get pissed off when they find out how expensive headshots are. Well, you're not paying for just someone to click the photo. It's the editing that goes into it, changing the lighting, making you look your best. That's what you're paying for, is what you don't see. But if you go, and you and I, we talked about this, we both had a person that somebody recommended and they came with an outlandish price because a year or two ago you could charge that. But now you can't charge that unless you're talking to people who don't know what else is out there. So if you don't do your own research, you don't dabble in things before you pay for them, then you end up paying too much.
So I was reading a text.
That's fine.
I was being you.
Yeah. I do that all the time. So
because one of the things again, my people are veterans and I help. That is my niche. And I came across a Ranger Johnson who's helping me and a bunch of other people get our benefits increased. Mm-hmm. And it's a great program. And I've been talking about it constantly and promoting him and sending him more and more people, just because I want everybody to get your benefits. Right. If you've been in the service, you deserve it, and you need to get it as much as you possibly can for what you did. The problem is the veterans go, it's not that big of a deal. It just hurts a little bit. And I was like, yesterday I was at the chiropractor and the lady's like, what is that? What's that number? I said, well, probably for everybody else it's probably an 8, but for me it's like a 4.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the pain I'm in my neck and my back that I've had forever, it's like you're just used to it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, is it, I'm not like I take a step and I start crying.
Right.
That was earlier in life.
Emotionally? Or
I've just gotten hard.
No. All right. So kind of going back to the topic of what we're saying, it's more important now than ever that you stand out. And you have to, if there's anything that you need to work on in 2025, it is getting yourself out there. And we all suffer from imposter syndrome when we first start. The first posts suck. The first podcasts suck. Your first writing, your emails, your newsletters, they're going to suck. But with everything, it gets better over time. And as you get it out there, you get to decide who your message is. You get to determine who your audience is. Like we talked about, how long were you in the industry before you decide you wanted to focus on veterans?
Actually, when I first got in, that's all I did focus on.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, back here. But what happened is then I got my own company, and then I moved up to Northern California. So multiple changes, moved to Northern California, started to do more not podcasting. I was reading over here my book, Podcast Mastery cover, so it just threw me off. Yeah. Then we became the owner of the company and did so many other things. So we did everything. Yeah. But it's hard. And again, it goes back to, you shouldn't do that. You're not getting your message to who you're trying to get it to. Yes, you can have multiple people in your company do totally separate things, but then in your websites, you're not talking to anybody.
Right.
You're talking to everybody. And that is what we're talking about. You need to niche down and focus on your niche. There's enough business in those. I know it's scary because even I was like, this is not enough. Well, right now, 80% of my pipeline is exactly what I'm asking for.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And that's just in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to talk about the authority is, and because you text me a thing that from Steve Sims about podcasting and how my rule of podcasting, it was actually a 10-23 rule of podcasting. Most podcasters don't get past the 10th episode. And then again, they don't get past the 23rd episode. So about 80% of podcasters stop at the 10th episode. And then then out of that group that's left, there's only about 10% of us left after the 23rd podcast.
Yeah.
And that's meaning that even though you think there's so many of them, there's so many of them that are not going forward.
Yeah, that won't be around.
That aren't, or they're not around anymore. They're already gone.
Mhm.
Because a lot of them go to Podmatch and they're saying, "Oh, sign up for this one." It's like 10 episodes. They haven't done anything in like 6 months. Why are they still on here?
Because it's like everything else. People sign up for something, they forget they have it, they chase the next shiny object. And
It's not cheap. It's about, could be like $50 a month.
yeah. Well, and it's I think you and I talked about this before. We're not necessarily taught how to do it. People are just like, oh, do podcasts. And then it's like, okay, there's some people who offer, hey, it's $3,000 for me to teach you how to start a podcast. And that scares a lot of people off. Or people go, well, I'll just start with it. Well, the gear you start with matters. You and I talked, everybody starts with a Blue Yeti mic. It's just, that's what people are told. And then you realize, oh, I need to invest in more stuff. And I'm guilty of it. Like, yes, I have the more expensive mic, but I don't have the Rodecaster like you were telling me I need to get. So
it just makes you sound more, the depth of your voice would be better.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. But people are like, oh, and it's like a lot of things. You go to the grocery store, it's like, oh man, that's $200, but you're eating for a whole week, but yet you'll go to dinner and spend $150 on dinner and a drink. So you have to think long-term when you're getting into podcasts, when you're saying all this up, because you'll spend a lot of money or time and you won't see the immediate benefit, but it does pay off in the long run.
Right. And I'm guilty of that because people reached out to me a month ago to get my course and I'm still finalizing it and everything else. And because you think you have it and then you're like, oh, damn, I should just forget this and just go. But again, and like I said, what I had to, so I have a list that I created of what, and the order of what I have to do to get to that. And I'm almost there. So I got a couple more things and then I'll be there to take care of that. So within the next 2 weeks.
Awesome.
So it sounds like that Money Pit movie.
Yeah.
How much longer until you finish? Just 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks.
I don't remember. I haven't watched that one in a long time, but I did watch what's the one with Brad Pitt where he's got the pikey accent? Oh God, I forgot the name of it now. Snatch. Snatch.
That's
like,
a good one.
2 minutes, Turks. He's like, you said 2 minutes 5 minutes ago. So you haven't seen that movie? Oh man. Oh yeah, I love all those. Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, Revolver, Rock and Roller, and then of course The Gentleman which they end up turning into a series. I like all his stuff. But
dude, I've watched everything. I was trying to watch more series and I'm like, oh damn, I gotta rewatch shit now.
Well, I made it through Landman. I'm watching one.
Have you done Lioness yet?
Yep, made it through 2 seasons of that. I can't remember what the one's called about. He's in the CIA, but I can't remember. It's got like, was it Agency? Yeah. So I'm caught up on that.
I got stuck at the 3rd episode.
It's pretty slow. I will say that. But yes, I've been catching up on shows. I started turning my desk so while I'm working, I can kind of see the show to the side. And and then some nights I'm like, I'm done, and I just sit down and there you go, show after show after show. But I'm all caught up and everything.
Well, it was so bad that at the cabin I started watching Chuck.
I have not watched a single episode of that.
It's kind of like, did you ever watch Psych?
No, I've watched a few episodes, but I didn't follow it. Same with Dexter. I started Dexter.
No, well, here's the difference. Dexter is about brutal murders and a murder.
Yeah.
Psych is about comedy. Chuck is a comedy about this other stuff. So it's got some funny parts to it. That's why it was lighthearted kind of stuff. And it's like I was doing other things at the same time. So I didn't want to have to focus. It's you're watching Landman, you're not doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, what is hard is, like, I know Shogun won a bunch of awards, but you have to read the subtitles. So it's not one I can throw on in the background because I gotta be like, crap, what are they saying? Okay, now go back to, oh crap, what are they saying? So it's kind of like when Narcos came out. You have to sit down and be dedicated to watching Narcos or Shogun or anything that has a lot of subtitles because they're speaking in another language. Like even Squid Games, I guess, is a really popular one. The 2nd season's out, and I started it. I'm like, I don't have time to read the captions. I'll have to figure out another weekend to watch.
I cannot stand when they dub the voices because they never match the person.
Yeah, we actually talk about that. I put that in the book. Like, we can't stand it because we're so used to reading lips that when the lips move and the sound comes afterwards, we're like, no. So
is that what it is?
Yep. It's exactly what it is.
I just like that voice just would not go with that person. That just doesn't work.
Well, that's a whole other story. If they put somebody up there, that's definitely not right. But all right,
yeah, okay, well, let's get going. All right,
yeah,
it's like, okay, that is not how that person would talk. That's
exactly.
supposedly a professional.
That would be like you have Tony Robbins on, and they have some little guy with a little voice.
Have Richard Simmons voice.
Exactly. So
that's exactly what I look, and that's like, I've watched so there's a lot of shows that I've watched in the past, and I do the actual, subtitles. Like there was a series on Apple about this lady who gets away from her husband who was wanted by the mob, or I forget what it was, and she's in like Spain or someplace in a vineyard, and it's a whole show, and it's all in Spanish.
Yeah,
and I watched it. I was like, maybe I'll pick up some words now.
There was one I was watching the other day. I don't remember. Oh, maybe it was Linus, and they did the subtitles, but they did it in Spanish, so you didn't know what they were saying, even though they did the subtitles and captions, but they did them all in Spanish anyway. I'm like, damn it, that doesn't help me.
Where are you watching this on?
I was watching
on Paramount.
Yeah, Paramount.
Then there's something else.
When the girl, well, you've made it through all the episodes, or yes, no?
Yes, I've
okay.
Seen
season 2, when she goes home to visit her family, her mom talks to her a lot in Spanish.
Yeah,
but they didn't. They didn't translate it.
Oh, you turn on your subtitles.
That's what I had on. But anywho,
in English.
Well, I do, because everything
else. The problem is some of those, in order to do that, it says every word.
Yeah.
Even English words, and it's like, okay, car door closing.
Yes.
I don't want all that.
Well, yeah, that's ADA compliant. We had to deal with that in my former life at one point, but anywho, we're getting off subject. So
you've been off the subject for an hour.
I know. Well, 31 minutes, but yeah. Good news is we have a joker who says he's coming in on Thursday, but if he doesn't make it again, then he's forever canceled, since he's supposed to have been on here twice and then had other things come up. So yes, Jimmy, I'm calling you out. But yeah, we'll have him.
He's not a person who at all costs do what you say.
I think, unfortunately, he's like me, ADD, and didn't put it on the calendar. So I will create the calendar invite and send that to him here in a minute, because that was my fault also. But anyway, all right.
All right, everybody, you gonna take us out?
Yeah, I'll take us out.
All right.
All right, everyone. Happy 2025. Thanks for joining us again here on Aces53 with Ed Parcaut and myself. Tuesdays, just like today, it's him and I bantering back and forth. Sometimes we have an actual line of thought, and sometimes it's like today, just ADD all over the place. And then on Thursdays, we try and bring you a joker. What's a joker? It's somebody with a special skill or talent that we believe you guys would benefit from. So if you have ideas of what you'd want to learn more about, like I know in the future, we're going to have a joker come on and talk about webinars, how to put them together, what's the benefit of them. We're going to have somebody coming on and talking about learning how to tell your story, all kinds of things. But let us know, where is it you're struggling with your business that you'd like to see an expert come on and share information. So the best way to support us, share this episode with somebody else, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thanks, Ed.
All right. Thank you. Nice talking to you again. It's been a while, a couple of weeks. All right.
Yep.
And like he said, we'll talk to you on Thursday. All right.
Thanks, everybody.